I had the displeasure of reading a Western comic book, so you don't have to. And you're going to understand why most people read manga. Now, a lot of the Western comic book writers say, oh, it's important to put politics into comic books. Like, they can't write unless they do so. They're like CNN anchors. And making your comic books political isn't inherently wrong, but they have to resonate with the reader. The reader needs to actually connect with the politics that you're pushing and needs to agree with them. Or, if not, at least get the reader to think his political position. So let's look at a comic which obviously tries to raise awareness about climate change and about keeping the environment safe. And the hero of the comic is Nature Girl. Now, Nature Girl is supposed to be an anti-hero, but the problem with an anti-hero is that you're supposed to at least connect with it as the reader. For example, Dexter from the TV show. You connect with him because, yes, what he is doing is illegal and really bad and he should be locked up, but he's doing it to people that are so bad that is justified. So let's see if we can connect with Nature Girl here. And she found a dying turtle on the beach who choked on a plastic bag. So it's not a COVID mask that the government forces people to have, and now there's trillions of them, and it's actually a problem because they're flooding the oceans and they contain microfiber. Notice how they don't talk about that. Like, that is not a problem. No environmentalist, as far as I know, has raised concern over that issue. They care about plastic, but for some reason, this is a little bit different. It's like, yes, we need to save the planet because without the planet, we can't exist. But at the same time, if we can save one life, you know, it's very fascinating. It's a contradiction that they don't like bringing up. But yes, okay, it's a plastic bag that end up suffocating one turtle. Now, I want to point out that the reason plastic bags exist in the first place is because environmentalists threw a fit about it. Now, I'm old enough to remember this, but it was environmentalists who wanted paper bags to go away because they want to protect the trees. So, because of environmentalists, a lot of governments actually forced companies to have plastic bags. Like, this is a thing. I don't know how many people remember this, but when I grew up, everyone had paper bags, and then they moved to plastic. And a lot of people complained because the plastic was more expensive at the time. But okay, you know, fine. So she manages to see that the plastic bag is actually made from LA. And the reason that this is funny is because her name is Lindley. Right? So she probably has a little bit of Chinese heritage. And guess which is the country that drops the most plastic in the water? Yeah, that's right. So I just want to point out that this is an American comic, right? And they're raising awareness about the world pollution. And they never talk about China. And this is something that I notice with comic books all the time, especially the ones that are made in the United States. They shit on the US nonstop and they whitewash every single other country. I remember a comic with Miss Marvel. In the first segment, she is being traumatized because a TSA agent gives her a pat down. So it shows just how fascistic America has become. And then she goes to Pakistan, and within the comic, Pakistan is like the perfect nation. It just happens to be a little poorer. But other than that, like, they don't talk about any crime in Pakistan. They don't talk about gender discrimination in Pakistan. Like, none of those things exist. Like, Pakistan looks like a haven. It's like a utopia. And it's the United States that's really, really bad. It's disgusting. It's evil. That is the vibe that you get in all the comic books from Marvel. And I just want to point out that you're trying to sell comic books to Americans. It just so happens that some Americans might like their country and they hate having their country demonized all the time. Like, it's okay if you want to talk about some bad things that your country has, but I can't find a single good thing about America in any Marvel comic. Meanwhile, look at manga. Does manga shit on Japan on a regular basis? Does manga like just constantly talk shit about Japan? No, because they want the people from Japan to buy the product. So anyway, right, all that aside, right, she finds that this comes from a store from LA, and she travels there, and she assassinates the cashier. She assassinates the retail guy. So she doesn't go after the guy who littered, which, by the way, like, you're not supposed to litter, right? Or the company that threw the plastic bags into the ocean. No, she goes after some random dude, which has a store and is selling bags to people. A child wrote this. A child either wrote this or the writer expects that children read this story. It makes absolutely no sense. And not only that, like, she's supposed to be an anti-hero. Like, you're supposed to connect with her. You're supposed to sympathize with her because she's trying to save the planet. Right? Like, she's communicating with the animals and she's saving the animals. She's dumb. She's an idiot. She's a monster. And a murderer on top. So, after this, like, the police tried to catch her. And there's a police dog that she actually talks with, and she makes friends with the police dog, and apparently, like, the police dog hates humans as well. So, the vibe is that humans are bad. The people that are in the United States are really bad. The working class, the white working class, especially the cashier owner, is the worst. And they don't mention that environmentalists are the ones that wanted plastic bags anyway. Like, that's not being brought up at all. Because what does reality have to do with a good story? Now, when I grew up, I remember watching a lot of environmentalist propaganda. It was called Captain Planet. You can look for it on YouTube if you grew up and you didn't get to see the cartoons. But that wasn't cringe. Like, that was actually well done. You can't put politics into things without, like, Captain Planet never murdered anyone. I think Rick and Morty actually made a joke about it, and they created Planetina. And, you know, she's hot, she's sexy, like, Morty falls in love with her. But the moment she starts killing people is when it's like, okay, yeah, no, we're going to stop seeing each other. Which is kind of funny, because Morty also killed people in order to set her free. Like, Morty killed the Planeteer, so that's fine. But when Planetina killed a bunch of miners, that's not fine. Really, Morty? Really? But anyway, right, at least that's a comedy, so it makes fun of the situation. They're actually taking this seriously. Like, you're supposed to care for her. You're supposed to care for the Lily. I think the only reason people care for Lily is because she's good looking compared to other Marvel heroes. And it's a scientific fact that men, especially teenage boys, are biased towards good-looking women. So they're going to make excuses. Maybe they're like, oh, I can fix her. Don't worry, like, I can make it work. I can fix her. But with that said, do you know that the whole essence of X-Men, like the whole purpose of the comic, was to make the viewer feel bad for the mutants? Because everyone is oppressing the mutants. Like, society at large is trying to oppress and discriminate, and they're being prejudiced towards the mutants. I don't fucking blame them after reading this comic. I mean, if you have a mutant who casually walks up to a guy and then scissors him because she spoke to a turtle, I think this is what you get when you're not prejudiced enough towards the mutants. It's what you get when you're too tolerant with the mutants. Like, society is not prejudiced enough. Holy shit! Can you imagine? Just if it happened in real life, like some chick, some broad speaks to a turtle and then thinks it's okay to commit murder. Oh my god. Probably CNN would justify it, wouldn't it? Like, they would be okay with it. The blue check marks on the Twitter would call it an accident. They would say that her scissoring slipped or something. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.